So, we're sitting here in New York, and I have the pleasure to be joined by Cheryl Griffin. Hello, Cheryl. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, happy to be here. So excited.
Oh, it was by pure accident that Cheryl was here today. She's decided to join me for lunch, and since we're doing a new vlog format, we thought, you know what, let's kick it off by taking some of the format from 2023 and some of the format from 2024 and merge them together into a single transitional video. And this is it.
I love it.
So in 2024, our idea is we're going to release at least one monthly video. And I say at least one monthly video because that's a minimum commitment I can do. And it's going to have 3 key parts to it, so 3 themes for every single video. Now, I'm going to be asking you for your thoughts on these themes as well. And you're going to be testing my memory because I wrote these themes a week ago.
Ooh.
And I don't remember all of them. So the first one we're going to have is we're going to reflect on 2023.
Yeah.
What were the most interesting things that you saw in legal tech in 2023?
Well, I mean, obviously, the case tech sale.
Ah, yes.
I mean, it'd be hard to talk about anything other than that, right? To start with,
there's a lot of zeros on that.
And it's really the zeros that makes that impactful, right? I mean, that's a big number. I think it's going to attract people to the industry that will be both positive and negative, probably,
yep.
right? But it will bring money, and I think that that can bring talent.
Yep.
And that can bring technology, and that can also open people's minds
Yes.
on the law firm side. So I think whatever people feel about it, and people have feelings, a lot of feelings, people feel certain ways about it, I think that sale will open up the doors for lots of other things for us in the coming year. But that certainly was the thing that, if you ask me about what's the biggest thing in 2023, it's probably that.
You know, it's really interesting you say that's the biggest thing, because in my mind, what I was fishing for, and I was there casting a line, I was hoping you would say something, what is the technology that was the most interesting thing? And I think case text was precipitated by Gen AI.
Right.
And so there I am. I've now cast the line and I've reeled it back to Gen AI. And from your perspective, have you seen, or what is it of everything that's out there that's happening, the buzz, the hype, in 2023, what are the real tangible benefits that has or is beginning to be brought to the legal market?
Yeah, I mean, the Gen AI has been really, I think, tough for the industry to figure out, right? Like, because I think, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, I think the problems that are being solved or put forward, the use cases that are getting the most airtime aren't necessarily the use cases that people are dying to jump into first, right? Like, so, when you ask a lawyer, what's the part of your day you hate, it's not drafting motions.
Right. I actually enjoy that.
Or writing even the contracts, right? Most people, if that's what your job is, you actually like that part, right? That is the thing that gets you excited in the morning. So
it's like saying to a mechanic, hey, you don't have to work on the engine anymore.
Right.
You can just sit back and tell someone else to work on the engine.
Right, just describe how you'd like the engine to run, and then it'll be done. And it's like, I'm not saying we're not going to get there. We might. But right now, I don't think anybody's dying for that.
Yep.
But I do think what we saw in 2023 was a lot of technology that can make the things that we do hate go away, right? So I think there's a lot of cool stuff around contracting, I think, that is the back end part of it. You know, we've never had, I think that's what I love so much about your tools. We've never had great ways to build clause and precedence banks. We've never had some of the new stuff that's coming out in e-discovery, and even summarizing sounds so stupid, but when you have a 6-page document that you need to write this much, 3 sentences of, geez, it's a lot easier to have ChatGPT do it than or whatever tool that you choose. So I think those are really great, exciting things, and I think automation is really the sexiest thing in my book. Like, I think that's the thing that law firms are really missing out on is, and legal departments in general. There's money laying around all over in the back if you automate things.
Right.
You could be saving tons of money.
Right.
Let's go do that. Let's throw some AI at that.
I think this is what's been really interesting. Whenever I talk to software developers, they go, wait, law firms don't have X? And it's like, nope, you're going to have to do that one manually.
Yep.
And there's this almost like moment of awakening when they realize we can just take technology from 10 years ago and make law firms more efficient.
Yep.
And I think Gen AI has been interesting because I think it's done two things. One, it's made impossible things now possible.
Yes.
And two, it's made people realize that, yeah, there is technology that can be applied to things that I thought was not solvable. And those problems that may not be solvable may not need Gen AI, but now at least people are talking about it and they go,
Right.
oh, maybe we can like fix that, whatever it is.
That's what, I mean, I think you're exactly right. There's so many things that throughout the last 20 years that I've been doing this, where we've said like, wouldn't it be great if we could X, right? And it's just been, like you said, wholly impossible for processing reasons, for cost reasons, for volume reasons, for all sorts of reasons. And now it's like, oh, we have to revisit all of those conversations because some of those things are not only possible, but very doable and very realistic now.
Yep.
And that's wild. It's just mind-blowing to think about.
Now, we've spent a couple of minutes talking about Gen AI, so I'm going to flip it and say, what is the most interesting thing that you've seen, not necessarily tech, that is not related to Gen AI in 2023?
The most interesting thing not related to tech, not related to Gen AI.
I mean, it can be tech.
Can be tech.
Just not Gen AI.
Oof.
Tough one, isn't it?
It is. You know, I mean, this sounds kind of lame. It's kind of a lame answer, but let me try to make it sound not lame.
I'm going to wear my face that says, yeah, I'm impressed.
Cheryl, that seems totally legit. I actually think it's legal's acceptance of cloud that I think is most interesting. And it sounds unimportant, but it's coming together at just the right time with a lot of other things that I think is going to enable some crazy stuff to happen in 2024. So, you know, we've been saying we can't use cloud for a decade because the banks don't use it, and that's who our clients are, because XYZ, all these, you know, we've had a lot of excuses. But what we've found is things we've been telling the law firms all along, which is the cloud is way more secure than what you're doing. We've seen some firms that have a lot of on-premise tools have major breaches this year, even the government.
Yep.
And so that is being proven to be true. Like, cloud would be safer for you because there's more people solving that problem and securing it. We're seeing banks like JP Morgan invest in cloud technologies at rates that like previously were just bonkers. I mean, if you saw how much they're hiring into cloud and AI and just that space and what they're planning to do, it's crazy. And so that's obviously like, you can't really say like, well, Chase, my client Chase doesn't use cloud. It's like, yeah, they do. So try again, guys. But what it's doing, right? Like, so some of this AI stuff, right, that you would have been saying like, sorry, can't use you guys because of the cloud. Now that we've, in a lot of cases, at least turned down the prohibition if it's not totally removed. It's at least not like at an 11, it's at like a 3 now. Like, maybe we'll consider it. But it's now going to allow people building software and service providers to put stuff, I think, into Azure and the AWS or something like that, and allow people to have, law firms to have their own universes of these tools, which is going to make them more comfortable and I think going to drive adoption. So even though cloud is not exciting, I think the change that we've seen in 2023 around it is really, really important for what we're going to do in 2024.
So I actually think what you've just described about adoption of cloud is what we're going to be talking about in 12 months from now about Gen AI.
I think maybe you're right, yeah.
It's a background technology. It managed to help us do X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
Because right now it's being presented to people as this is the interface. This is the solution. And I don't think that's it for lawyers.
I totally agree with you. I think it's, so the way I've been describing it is, it's like electricity. You need to know how it works, how it can kill you, and how to use it to your benefit.
Oh, I like it.
That's it.
I like it.
Other than that, who cares what it is?
I don't even think you need to know how it works to take
just
advantage
generally
of electricity.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. But as a lawyer, you just need to know for ethical reasons.
Yeah, but
Like-
that's because lawyers are a special breed.
Right. Lawyers are, yeah. But I mean, and when I say how it works, I don't mean like deep down. I just
Yeah.
mean like generally what's happening.
Yeah.
And you can learn that in like an hour podcast.
Yes.
Like you can learn everything you need to know in a very short period of time.
I think that's what's interesting to me. So there was a survey a couple of weeks ago that found a lot of people in legal, I think something like 30%, had not even thought about using Gen AI.
Right.
And I forget which survey it is. Sorry, I'll try and find it later.
Check the comments.
Yeah, check the comments. Don't check the comments. There'll be nothing in there. I'm not going to do any homework.
No.
And that's really interesting to me because like you and I and a lot of people in the legal tech space, we live and breathe all this stuff. But in fact, when we go and talk to law firms, when we talk to practicing lawyers, what they're doing is I need to perform something for my client. And this thing, this Gen AI thing that everyone's talking about in the news, someone called it drama for nerds.
I kind of dig that.
Yeah, me
It feels
too.
like a t-shirt, doesn't it? Maybe we should get that. That's our Ilticon, or our
Drama
Legal
for
Week
nerds.
t-shirt, Drama for Nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would wear that.
I would wear it too. You heard it here first. Yeah.
It has to be a turtleneck though.
Oh, a black one?
Yeah. So I think like we forget like the people who actually will benefit from the technology are so far removed from the news and the constant like just flood of information that we have to deal with. And it's our job to like translate all of that to them in a way that, well, yeah, it's zero effort to make it worthwhile.
Right. That's right. I think you're right. We have to curate the messaging because it's overwhelming, and it's both sides of the scream factor, right? Like AI is going to kill us and ruin our life. AI is going to save us. Like, and it's like neither of those is really true, right? So like when you hear both of those, I mean, I have to imagine that it invokes anxiety in lots of people, right? Like just the idea, like, am I going to lose my job? Well, what's going to happen to me? There's a lot of questions, right, that people have. And even if that's not what your fear is, maybe you're just fear of like not being able to learn it, right? Like maybe it's too complicated. Maybe it's outside of my scope of my skill set. Like I'm getting older, blah. Like we have to find ways to make that less risky or less scary or more bite-sized, right? Because you don't have to be a scientist to make this, to learn it and to make use of it and get value from it.
I like the phrase, make it more bite-sized.
Yeah.
Christmas is around the corner.
Yes.
Segue, nice segue, Horace. Christmas is around the corner, and I remember a couple of years ago during COVID, we started collecting all these board games. So if we go upstairs, there's about 70 board games in cardboard boxes, half of which we haven't played.
I was gonna say, it's like the library.
Right, it's like the library. By the way, I read every single one of these
All
books.
of these books have been read.
Cover to cover. And what I've found recently is the weight of opening one of these board games, learning the rules, and then playing it for the enjoyment. That was not worth it because the instructions are not bite-sized because it's so complicated that I can see
They fold out six
Right.
times, yeah.
And you've got this like thick book and you're like, where do I get to the part where
Just
it's
tell me
fun?
how to start. Yeah. Right. Where does it get fun? Yeah.
And I think that's like such a shame because a lot of what's out there today, and I think that's like the great thing that OpenAI did with Gen AI. Back to Gen AI, sorry guys. The great thing that OpenAI did with ChatGPT was they made it so easy to adopt. It was zero effort. Never mind it helped almost zero people, but it was zero effort.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that's missing is, and I say generally, in legal tech, is people are not making their stuff easy enough to adopt. And so these bite-sized benefits that you mentioned are not happening.
No, well, it's been a problem the whole time, like you said. I mean, from day one of legal tech that ever happened, it's like, okay, well, we're going to need you to sit in a 90-minute training session against your will. We're going to make you fill out a form to say you were there. Like, this is why nobody wants it, right? Like, you're making it sound complicated when in many cases there's probably 3 things in any product that you're going to do, right?
Yep.
And when you need to know the 4th thing, go to the support hub and learn it then.
Right.
Just
there should
in
be
time.
a little tooltip that when you click on it, goes, here are the steps.
Here's how you do this thing. And it's 4 steps, right? Not 72 steps. That's the other thing. Like, design, please, for God's sakes.
Do you think the extra money in the industry are going to bring better designers to legal?
Oh, God, I hope so. God, I hope so. Yeah, because we've had some doozies over the years. Yeah.
Boolean searches that are 3 pages long, and you're like, what does that box do? And why does that label say that? That doesn't make any sense.
I'm so happy that we got to natural language searches. I mean, I feel like that any lawyer that like comes of age now versus a lawyer like that came of age 10 or 15 years ago, their life is like incrementally better than it could have ever been before. Because trying to teach, like I was, training people in iManage at one point in time and trying to teach them these Boolean searches to find a document that they know for a fact was in there.
Right.
You put it in there, you know it's there, but you don't know, you know what I mean? And it's like, no one can construct those.
Is that a forward slash or a backward slash for within 5 words?
Right. Yeah. And it's like, the people who could write those well are like geniuses. Like, it would be like, call Sally. Sally knows, she'll get that document. Right. We all had one wherever we worked where it was like, there's somebody I know who can get that for us. But for God's sakes, talk about torture, right? Like, but it's all we had.
There's a tip that someone gave me for ChatGPT, and it was, well, if you're not sure if it would do that, neither is anyone else. So just try it.
Exactly. That's what's so fun about it, though. Like, that's what's cool about this moment in time, if you think about it. What other place has anyone alive right now been at the beginning of a technology where it's like, I don't know if it'll do that.
Right.
Even the people who invented it aren't sure.
They haven't. It's a next word predictor that is like just mind-blowingly powerful.
Right.
It was Andre Carpathy who wrote on, was it him or someone else? But they wrote on the weekend that they get really frustrated when people talk about large language models being used for search and not getting stuff right. And like the whole point is large language models are hallucination machines. The whole premise is they're hallucinating the next word. It just sometimes gets it right.
Right.
So if you're saying the large language model is not bringing back the right results, no. The large language model is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. It's the software that's been built around it that's not bringing back the right results from whatever the LLM is generating. So let's separate the science from the product.
It's so right. So I interviewed Shauna Hoffman earlier this year, who's now it's escaping me. It'll come back to me. But she was at IBM Watson. She's AI. She's an AI genius, and she said their data shows that that all of our AI is never going to get better than 74% accurate.
Ooh.
Because it's a probabilistic model. Right. So all it's doing is guessing the next word.
Yep.
Predicting.
Yep.
Let's call it guessing.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? But it can only get so right. You know what I mean? Over time, like even giving it the entire universe of knowledge on Earth, it can only get so right. And so there has to be some human element of it, right? To like fine tune that and make decisions on that last 25% essentially. But I think that's one of the things that we haven't quite communicated or hasn't quite got to the audience is that an LLM is not meant to kick out a perfect answer. That is not what it does.
Yep.
It's guessing based on what you've given it, what you probably want, and then we have to do stuff with that. And in some cases, some products are layering the results. So, the stuff's happening behind the scenes that you don't know about where it's taking the first results and it's running it through a thing and then coming to second results. And that's why it's giving you a better outcome than what you might expect because it's actually going through 3 language models or 3 different processes before it gets to you. Some maybe it's just going through one and coming out and it's less accurate, but that's the secret sauce.
Yep.
Right? Like that's how you accomplish the sausage making.
Right. To go back to the sausage making.
Yeah, that's the secret sauce. But I think we have to kind of temper our expectations on what's possible what's wrong or not wrong, or what's to be expected, right? Like what's completely normal, and then, where we can go from there.
So, with all of that said, what gets you excited about next year? What's kind of like, you wake up in the morning and you go, I can smell 2024.
I mean, I'm so psyched about 2024. It's a little disturbing probably. So I am branding 2024 the beginning of the golden age of legal tech.
Okay, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. I'm going to be writing about it a bunch next month. I just think it's going to be a crazy year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's going to be fun.
I did not expect you to get that excited about 2024.
I know, it's sick. It's real disturbing. That's why I need the nerd shirt.
Yeah. This has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me on. Such a great idea.
Oh gosh, I wish I could do this every day.
Me too.
If only they'll pay me. Who would pay me to do this every day?
Will anyone pay us to do this? If so, call Horace and we'll work it out.
Yeah, we'll work something out.
We'll work something out, yeah.
I might even be able to get a better camera.
I doubt it. It's a nice camera, that's all I'm saying.